Welcome, everyone. This is Finally Noodles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Terry Edwin.
Hi.
Ariadnes.
Hey, everybody.
Maven.
Hey, y'all.
And Sanswinda.
Hello.
We have a full crew this week, and we also have some news. Let's begin with Bulwer build number 5.
Dun, dun, dun.
Beat me to it.
Yeah. So, of course, this is the latest build for the update 21.3, and it looks like they had the final boss in there at last, so they are getting closer and closer to having things finished. And anyone find anything in the build that particularly interests them?
Base stats for creeps have been tweaked. And I say base stats because they do say base stats. Work is still ongoing for PvMP, but they have made changes. The reason why they're working with the base numbers is because once they start adding skills and things, it adjusts the base numbers. So they're trying to get the base numbers to where they want them before they start adding other things back in.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. So, but work is still ongoing. Feedback is appreciated. So if you're one of the PvMP type people, this is the week to check it out.
Now, I think that maybe there might be only one more Bulwer build after this because the Yule Festival is getting close to being ready.
Probably. So, and PvMP changes are probably not going to be going live with this build. Would be my guess. Like what we're seeing on Bulwer now for creeps is probably not what we're going to see. What they have in the on Bulwer for everything else, we're probably going to see live when the update comes out. But for PvMP, they're probably still tweaking. I don't expect we'll see those changes live for a while.
So you think that's more likely to be something in 23? 22, I mean.
22, yeah,
22,
probably.
yeah.
Because they are doing quite a bit of work. The person who's working on it, the dev that's working on it, has mentioned that it's going to be a while, so they're not expecting these. I don't think that the plan has ever actually been for the changes on Bulwer for creeps to actually go live with the update. I think it's just they're trying to get it to where they can put it live later. If I read the notes correctly, if I've read the notes and the forums and stuff correctly, that's what I'm pretty sure is what the plan is.
All right. So the best idea then is try to give them as good information as possible so that when they do start preparing for the next update, it will all be nice and ready. Because I'm sure that the earlier it gets out, the happier the creep will be.
Right.
Assuming, of course, that the overall result is an improvement.
Well, ideally we would rather have them continue working on it and delay the changes until they've actually got them in a halfway decent place instead of just putting them live while they're still broken.
Yeah. Anything else here that anyone saw that's interesting?
Yeah, I am liking the new tech that they're going to use for the raid that is fellowship tradable. So stuff that comes out that you roll on or that drops for you, you're going to have the option. I don't remember if it said all of this. I don't know, but there's going to be some stuff that you can trade amongst fellowship members, and I think that's great because that way if you roll and you get a piece that, or you click and end up with something that you actually didn't want that I've done in Moria a couple of times. That's bind on acquire, you can trade it amongst your fellowship members, and I'm hoping if it works that they'll actually expand that out to other instances like the Moria instance. So that was kind of cool. Be interested to see how that goes.
We'll see how it works, but at the time, it's only going to be for the Abyss of Mordath.
Yeah,
right. Just see how it works, probably.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then let's head into the LOTRO beacon. And in the beacon this week, we have a pretty nasty Drake on top.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's a raid boss. I haven't actually seen that one. But it could also be the arena again because it sort of kind of looks like the Scourge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the arena in the 6-man.
In the 6-man,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That nose looks really strange. And let's see what our comment for the week is what are you most looking forward in the upcoming Yuletide festival?
Elk mounts.
Looking at all the cosmetics.
I saw previews of the elk mounts, by the way, on Twitter.
Yeah.
They look pretty awesome.
Do they?
Yeah, also, apparently there's a cosmetic snowy owl pet that's going to be available.
Ooh,
I saw that. I saw that. It
Yeah.
looks great.
It looks really
that's
cool.
awesome.
It looks very cool. Crazy Pants of Landreval is the one you want to follow on Twitter if you want those
Oh yeah.
updates.
Mhm.
And how many people are going to name their snowy owl some variation of Hedwig?
Yeah.
Probably everybody.
And so the further down, the longer we get from the actual day of the launch, the weirder the spelling is going to get. So
Right.
people,
Well, spellings I don't think are mutually exclusive on pets.
I don't think they are. So you're going to see like 50,000 players with Hedwig following them.
Yeah.
And everybody will be like, where do we get Hedwig? Why is my snowy owl not Hedwig?
I should just automatically name it that. The default pet name.
Oh, here's one. Gallant here of the Lonely Mountain Band has created a machinima set to J.R.R. Tolkien's reading of At the Tobacconist.
That's John DiBartolo. He's awesome. That's Gallagher, who actually is not just of the Lonely Mountain Band. He is the Lonely Mountain Band.
Yeah, that's what I thought so. Yeah, when you said it was Bartolo, I said, wait a minute. Isn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't that an old video? It is an old video.
Is
That's
it?
from 2 years ago. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen that video.
Well,
I know that he shared it again. I think it was on Facebook or someplace because I saw it recently, or either that.
Oh,
or
that's
Twitter.
right.
So that might be why Cord picked it up. Was
Right, because Core might not have
Sure.
seen it before because he.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he wasn't our community manager at the time.
Right.
Right.
It is a really awesome video, so if you've not seen it before, you definitely should go see it. I remember we had him on the show shortly after he did it, and we talked about it. That's kind of why I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen that video, because I'm pretty sure we've talked to him about that video.
No, I like how he said that last week LOTRO players got sleepy.
We did, because we talked about finally it's bedtime.
Yes. And Stina played the burglar for the first time.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
Yeah, I've got to get and see that video. Let's see. Get a 4-hour time slot to see it. And if you haven't heard, they're bringing back the Harvest Math Festival for an encore from now through December 10th.
Have they encored other festivals? I know they did Harvest
I
Math
think encored them
last year.
most all of them this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I remember them encoring, I think, Fall Festival last year as well. I was trying to remember if they did the spring.
No, they encored Yule last year.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I remember that.
And we see the banner of Gondor flying in the screenshot of the week.
Which is a great shot.
Yes.
Ooh, that is a good shot.
And that wraps up the beacon, unless anybody has anything from here that they wish to add.
Is that at the Black Gate? That's at the battle, because that's a fell beast in the background.
Yes, that is. Yeah, probably during the last stand at the...
Oh, maybe. Well, no, they didn't have I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, we have to go and do that instance again.
Yeah. Which we'll be able to do when 21.3 comes out, because we'll have a Gorgoroth reflecting pool.
Right.
I have a whole list of stuff that I want to redo.
Make sure you have your screenshot key ready.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Now let's head into the store sales.
This week's free sample is a Universal Ingredient Pack ×1 with the coupon code UNIVPAC1, UNIVPACK1. 20% off select housing decorations, select housing sets, housing property writs, and select cloaks, which is a little bit strange that it's just cloaks, but okay.
Maybe they're getting everybody prepped for winter, like everybody's cold type thing.
I guess, but if you haven't already gotten the Cloak of the Citadel Guard, which is the black one with the white tree, now is your time to get it while it's 20% off.
Now, I'm trying to figure out what could you really do with one Universal Ingredient Pack?
Well, it's a Universal Ingredient Pack, so it's scales. So the different tiers require different amounts of them.
Right, that's why I was...
I don't know. Maybe you need one to kind of round out your numbers, because if you do the crafting tutorial, you get apprentice ingredient packs that turn into universal ingredient packs. So you could just create new alts and get universal ingredient packs that way. I don't know. I don't.
Don't you
Don't
get
ask.
the
Don't look at me.
practice
I don't do
makes-
crafting.
Don't you get the practice makes perfect, though, after every time you change crafting professions and finish it?
Again, I don't do crafting.
What?
I don't know.
No, you...
Or
I
does
think
you only get it once? Do you only get it
You-
once?
you only can complete the deed once. You can take you could do each of the 7 ones for the titles. You could do a title for each of the vocations, but each profession's quest you could only do once, and you get the deed completed for when you've done all 3 of them.
Okay.
So, yeah, you really... I think the practice makes perfect scale. You only complete that once, I'm pretty sure.
It's been a while since I've...
Yeah.
tested
LOTRO
this
Players
thing.
News is brought to us today by the Fractured Forces of Fusham Ball.
Seriously,
Oh,
if they
settle
would
it.
just sell Oliphant and Sulakil rides, they wouldn't have to be Fractured Forces at all. Could just be rolling in the dough.
alliteration was just for Pine Leaf.
Actually, it's I think it's. Oh, that's right. They do have Silikill, don't they? I was thinking they just
Yeah.
have the cats, but they have the Silikill. Yep.
Then they have the Sulakil and they have Mumax.
We have to feed the Sulokil. How did you forget that?
I know.
She blocked it from her memory. She didn't want to remember.
Yeah, I think
They
I
did not
blocked
let
it
us
out.
feed the Mumax. Or ride
I
them.
know, I don't know why they didn't. They should have had us.
They're
feed
really
the Mumax.
stingy with their Mumax.
They are.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe that's the
Guys,
real reason they're not
Those
getting
push-up
along.
ball
They just need to
guys.
learn to share.
Yeah. They're kind of grumpy.
well, yeah. Well, they do get to be that way, don't they?
They do. Especially at the end, I mean, it's like, golly, we seriously, dudes? You're really going to get all ticked off at me?
Right?
Well, yes. Let us begin with the Black Book of Mordor, where we do Chapter 3.3.
Did we actually say we're talking Talithurwy today? Did we say that
Yes.
already? Or?
And
Yeah.
potential
We did
spoiler
not.
alert for people who have not done it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Yes, we are doing Talithurwy today for our little region review here that we've been doing all along, and there will be, of course, spoilers all over the place, especially here in the section where we're doing the Black Book, because we're going to be talking about what happens in Chapter 3. Yes, we were really, because the first 2 regions we each did 3 we did an entire chapter for those two. And then we did sort of 1 and 3.1, 3.2 for Lingress, and now we're down to 3.3. And in here, you meet up with Heartland outside of Fushim Ball. And there, she decides, all right, maybe what you need to do is to deal with the Easterlings a little bit. And deal with them, of course, means to kill some. and
we don't beat around the bush here.
That's what you kill a few of them and read whatever messages drop from them. So eventually a message drops out, of course, and you bring the orders concerning them, concerning Nargroth out to Heartland outside of Fushim Ball. And of course, you can read the orders because they seem to like to do that in Mordor. It's giving you the option to read orders if you wish to read them.
She's not real grateful about this, by the way. Stupid elf.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know how elves are. And then after that, she says, all right, let us head over to the road that leads to Nargroth. So therefore, we head all the way to the other side of Mount Doom.
And we get our Fitbit steps in.
Yep.
That's right.
And maybe possibly die a couple times along the way because they've got it lined with gash hide that will dismount you even off your war steed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. I know that today I finally figured out is that after you've done it the first time, that the easiest way to do that is to buy the slow horse. If you want to go to Nearben or Nargroth, well, Nargroth, you might just go to the other side first and then.
Yeah, I'd go to this one.
And then you could try that. Yeah. But if you wanted to go to Nearben or something like this, today I decided, all right, I need to go to a different quest in there that was about halfway across. I just took the slow horse to
because then you know you're not going to
there to the ranger camp
have to deal with those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with them at all because. Yeah, you have all those orcs, and your war steed is probably not going to survive being hit with them. In fact, you know that skill that you earn back when we first got our war steeds, one that for doing the quests, so session plays with the horse in Breeland?
No.
I just try to remember what the name of it is.
I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, right. So when you do that quest line, that quest line, discovering the descendant or something like that, and you completely do it, you get this skill that allows you to heal your war steed. And today have been using that a couple of times this week in order to heal the war steed in order to survive what they're throwing at me.
That's hardly fair.
Yeah, discovering the descendant, I think, is what it's called. So I'm sure someone's going to comment with the correct name if that's wrong. And so therefore, we get all the way to Nargroth on the eastern side of Tal'Dorur. Usually what I do is we go past the elves, go all the way to the ranger camp, tag the ranger camp so that we have that horse. Then we come back to the elf. And then the elf.
It's not like she's going anywhere. She's just going to wait.
Yeah,
it's true.
That's right.
So there she is.
She's done a lot of that.
Silly elf.
Yes. So we're all there getting ready, all anxious to find out what's going on with Nearben when she says, oh, squirrel, meaning that she sees this statue nearby.
Squirrel.
Only it was that nice and innocent.
That's kind of exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. She sees this, which is one of those guardian stones that are out all over Mordor, and she says, all right, maybe we should better talk to the spirit inside there and see if it can give us some information.
That sounds like the best idea ever. Seriously.
Right. So we go to the watching stone and ask it for information about the Gerzil. which is what this section is all about, the Gurzel, which are the immortals in Mordor and all that stuff, such as the Mouth of Sauron and the person we're looking for. So he asked this Watching Stone, and eventually, after sending us through all sorts of tortures, it eventually says it will tell you if you bring it a skull in the bottom of Narban in a room of fire. So we go to Narban.
Okay.
Watching stones are so nice. So
Yes.
trustworthy.
Right. So we go into there, go all the way down there, pick this thing up, and sometimes if you're serious about doing the side quest too, you're probably doing all sorts of side quests as it, which we'll discuss later. And you eventually come back with this skull. Most likely, you're in the middle of Narban, you've got this skull, you port out, you go to your allegiance, probably port to your allegiance hall, talk to your allegiance hall, go back to Tel'Aruri, take this horse that you unlocked all the way to the ranger camp, and then come back to her.
Good grief.
Because that's by far the fastest way to get there.
That's the fastest way to get there?
You don't want to go through all the orcs. That will.
Oh yeah, because there's so many mobs.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many
Gracious.
mobs.
Oh yeah, that is by far the best way of getting there. Unless you have to put your milestone into the ranger camp. That's another possibility.
Just
But most
milestones
likely,
right there.
yeah, because there is a milestone.
And there's a campsite fire out in the middle of Tel'Aruri. It's
Oh yeah,
but it's like I actually found it one time, and I'm like, there's no way I would bind my hunter to this campsite, because it's like you come there and there's just like drakes and fire grims and squirrels all around you,
And it's not
and
really
you're nowhere near
convenient.
the road. It's like you
Exactly.
have to fight through all. It's like, I don't think I'll be using this campfire.
It would have actually been more helpful if they'd put it in the middle of the road.
Yeah, or maybe
Or just to the side of it.
It's like over one of those walls, on the other side of one of those walls or something.
there's nothing useful in the area.
No. I mean, it's out on a lava field.
There's not a
You
clear
have to-
path to anything
You have to
useful.
you'd have to then ride.
In the middle of the lava field sounds like a fantastic place for a campsite
For
fire.
a
I'm just
campsite.
saying.
and it's
Like
not
anything.
level.
Anyway.
Like you
And
need
it's
more
not
fire
level
on the
ground
lava.
either,
Right?
So it's like even on high graphics, sometimes I can't actually see, the contrast, like where there's like a down and up and stuff, and there's lava lakes all over the place. And oh my God, it's like, it would take you ages just to get back to the road from it would take you might as well just ride your horse. Just nuts. I mean, it'd be fun. I thought to myself, I should bind this just for fun. Like if I was in a fellowship, I said, I have a campsite fire.
Hope you guys brought s'mores.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I'm just like, whose idea was that?
Maybe it was supposed to be near something and they moved the something it was supposed to be near or something.
And forgot the campfire.
It might, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm trying to remember. I think it's on the side where Nairband is, but
But it's not near the entrance of it. It's like around
no,
the
it's not
back
near the
of
entrance
it,
of it. No,
way away
right,
from the
exactly.
road.
Yeah, it's not even close to the entrance of the Sixth Man, which you only need to discover that once anyway, so you really don't need it for that. Anyway, it's just, my experience with campsite fires is they're convenient. Like, there's one in the swamp in Mordor that's actually good. It's convenient
Very
to get you to a
convenient.
spot in the swamp. Yeah. The party tree, great place for a campsite fire.
Excellent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the party tree. This is not the Mordor version of the party tree.
Yes.
Or maybe it is, but you have to be like a Drake or a
Fire
Fire Grim to
I guess so.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess if I was a drake or a rockworm or a fireworm, maybe it would be, like it would be like party time to have this.
Maybe it's
fire.
there
I don't
for them. Like you attract hunters and their fellowships, and then you snap on them.
True.
Ah.
That's what it is. Some drake came up with the idea. Let's put a campsite fire here. That's probably
Yes.
what it is. Anyway, sorry,
Yes,
I knocked you off your.
yes.
I knocked you off your
Yes.
your patter there.
You return with your skull and all this stuff, and you talk to the stone again, and it sort of, squishes your mind and all this fun stuff. After which, You then
Your mind.
are he's pretty much.
It's true, yeah.
I've been mind squished.
Yeah. These watching stones in Mordor, they're
They
first
are
of all,
not
very
forgiving
talkative.
at all.
They're very
No.
talkative. They want to tell stories. It's like, but they do things to you while they're telling you stories.
Yes, and speaking of telling stories, and after you finally go through all this, it finally tells you the story about one of the Gurzil. And the name of the stone is Zakarok. Zakarok.
Yeah.
Yes, and you want to find out something about a Gurzil called the Stone Maiden. So therefore, you talk to her, and then they finally give you an instance showing you the story of what happened to the Stone Maiden. And
That's how one is. I'm sorry.
And at the end of this, you find out that there is a new player of the field that we did not know about, and that was Borangos the Horror.
Borango.
Borangos.
He sounds like a fun guy, right?
Yeah.
Especially with his the horror title.
Yes.
Yes. The horror. Horror. The horror.
Yes. So after all of this, we finally say, all right, we wanted to get information, and what we found out is that all the stuff that's happening in Mordor is even more complicated than we thought. And because we finally finished 3.1, and of course, during our last review, we talked about 3.2, it means that we have now qualified to finish up 3.1.
Hooray!
And that means we are sent to talk to Mithrandir just outside the Black Gate, sort of finish to wrap everything up. And that's where we'll leave you at Mithrandir, who's going to send you into the region that we'll be talking about at some point in the future.
That was such a great instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because it's kind of like between the end instances and all the book, the different regions, we're kind of getting to see the, the powers that are sort of filling the vacuum of Sauron departure, and it's getting set up for there to be some kind of a conflict between them.
Yeah.
They're like the power struggle and stuff. So it's really, it's an interesting story.
Yes, we have all these things going all around there. And that brings us into what we have going on in Talith Ururi itself. We'll begin with the landscape, which is essentially the south side of Mount Doom, so you know that it is a wonderful place to visit.
Think lava, evil feel, scorch your feet.
Yep, lots of fire.
Fire. Yes, because this place is dominated by this lake of fire that was created when somebody lost some jewelry inside the
Yeah.
I know. Really careless
that
of them.
actually happened when a ancestral hobbit took a dive, went to take a swim in the lava.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe my hobbit comes by it naturally.
I was going to say, that's probably where Sam Smith comes by her attraction.
No, but it's nice volcanic eruption area. You've got lots of uneven ground and random fire pits you can fall into, and fumaroles that'll attack you from across the landscape. And
oh my god, they'll attack you in Minas Tirith. I mean,
but they look like they look like an innocent part of the landscape. And yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It's like, oh, look at that cute little thing over there. Oh, it's throwing fireballs at me.
Ah, yes, the wonders of fumaroles.
Yeah. But it is well done. I mean, it's...
You have Karag stalking around.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
Every nasty fire-based beast you could think of can be found on the south side of Mount Doom.
There's got to be...
The fire salamanders are kind of cool.
Here, they could do a jingle for that. If you do, it's like, you want to find all the fire beasts? I don't know.
They'd probably convince us to all go build summer houses there or something.
Every
I'm
time
sure.
Pine Leaf says the south side of Mount Doom, I'm thinking south side of Chicago, which is also a place
Bad
that I
Leroy
have,
Band. That's another. Oh, that we could do a jingle to that
it's
music.
like I've never. That's the only thing I know about Chicago is like the south side of Chicago, which is a place that you really probably don't want to be, and it's much like the south side of Mount Doom, where you also don't want to be.
Yeah, it's a bad neighborhood. That's right.
It's a bad neighborhood.
That's right.
Hostile
Unless
in many ways.
And you have
Yeah.
these orc gangs, you know?
Yes.
It's like gangs you'd find in a, yeah.
Yeah, unless you're some form of Archeon or something like that. We're one of those fire loving strains of Archeon or something like that. Let's head into the individual areas now. And let's begin with Fusham Bao, who have been really nice to sponsor us.
Yeah.
That was nice of them. They must have agreed on something for once.
Yeah. Well,
As
considering
long as they
how
pay us
things
in
are
Mumok
finished.
rides.
Yes, in Mumok rights. But essentially, this is the storyline where you've got two camps. They're warring with each other. And the object is to get neutral rep with both of them. Well, actually, you don't have to do it at the same time, but
But you have to reach it with both factions, even if it's at different times.
right.
Which is
And
good, since most of the quests
yeah.
take away rep from the other one.
the other, yeah, right. So therefore, it's hard.
Anybody
to
who's juggled Ale Association and in-league rep will excel at this.
yeah.
Except for the fact that you should note with this, it is not like that in that it will give you an equal amount of rep as it takes away. So you cannot come out ahead by doing that. The same way that you can with the ale and in-league deliveries.
I didn't do that. I mean, the things I was looking at, it was taking in unequal amounts.
Well, as for us, for me, it was always taking equal amounts, except when you were doing the feed the Nernhoth quest and the feed the Sulikil quest, which both gave rep but did not have any negative rep. Now, if you do the dailies that you can get after completing the area, as far as I can tell, those only give positive rep. They don't give you the negative rep, I guess, because you're finished with that line.
Maybe that's what I was noticing. I don't know.
But while you're doing the quest, in order to get the rep and rep both sides, getting rep with one side generally gives you negative rep on the other side. The idea there is to get rep with both of them because you're trying to convince each of them that you're on their side and that you're helping them.
I thought we were trying to convince them that they wanted to talk with us.
Well, we eventually we try to get them to talk to, and eventually they decide to have a meeting. We all go to have a meeting, and they're both thinking, okay, hello, Pineleaf, you're on our side, right? Won't you tell them why you're doing it? That's when they start to get suspicious.
Yeah.
No, and then they get mad at you for helping both of them. I mean, really, guys.
Yeah. Oh, you know what happened to me on that final instance on Sunday?
Huh.
We were trying to help I was trying to help a kinmate finish that out who had not done Fushim Ball yet. So two kinmates of mine and I were doing this. We all go finish all the quests. She unlocks the fight. This is a runekeeper. Unlocks the final instance, and yeah, there's absolutely no way for us to go in.
Oh no.
You don't have a reflecting pool in Gorgoroth.
We don't have a reflecting pool in Gorgoroth, and of course, Kurgi no longer. Well, yeah, because let's just say certain key NPCs are no longer there. So.
To talk to.
Oh, right. You can't see them anymore. That's right.
Right. So therefore, you no longer have the NPCs to talk to, and you no longer that. So, yeah, that just didn't work out, and she came very close to actually succeeding to it. But when you're fighting 3 against 1 with a Runekeeper.
Ouch.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to doing that with my Runekeeper. Hoping I'll be able to find somebody to do it with me when the time comes.
Yeah, it'd be good to have somebody to do it with.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're a top Runekeeper or something like that.
Gorgoroth's reflecting pool is coming.
Yeah.
That will help.
I hope they tied this quest to the reflecting pool.
I sure hope so.
I hope they do. Yeah.
Standing stone!
Please tie this to the reflecting pool if you haven't already.
Yeah. Oh, boy. You know I'm going to have to check that out now.
We want to help our friends.
Is there a reflecting pool in Bulroar at the moment?
Well,
Should be.
if they're adding it, I would hope so, right?
Yeah, I couldn't remember when they were going to be adding it.
It's supposed to be coming in with this update.
Oh, cool.
Very well, then let's then...
Before we move on from Fushan Ball, can I just say that I really appreciated the solo ability of this camp? Because if you wanted to, and you were feeling squishy, you did not have to fight anybody.
That's true.
You could run through, and they would all threaten to attack. They might even attack, and you could just keep running, and they would drop aggro, and you could get back in, and they would all just point at you again. And you could even just turn off the sound and pretend like you were a celebrity the whole time. And go around feeding Sulikil and Nirnhoth and complete this, and only have to fight in that end instance. And for solo ability, that was very helpful.
Oh, yes, that is... Yeah, it's very helpful on that one. It has, and I think also that of the 4 storylines, I think this one had the best storyline of the 4 also.
Oh, and you could burn the tents and collapse the towers too without having to fight.
Yeah, you could also do. Now you just have to. It's good though to be quick on your feet. You
gotta
run in there,
moving.
Yeah, keep moving. Don't stay in one place too long. Just long enough to click on it, burn the tent, run off.
And if you have to, run by it and wait until they stop pointing at you and come back.
Right, and it's only 8 or 9 quests per faction, which is also helpful. Like, at first it looks really daunting, but it doesn't turn out to be that bad. Well, unless you get completely negative with the other faction, and then you have to work your way up double. But if you start, like, if you notice as you walk into the camp that you're neutral with both, or not neutral, you're at the same...
It's not even
outsider.
Outsider with both. You can get the quests from both at that point, and you don't have to fight them except for the ones for the Black Book if you're doing that. So,
yeah.
And if you kill an equal number of those, you're back to outsider with both. So, or pretty close to. So, it turns out to not be too horrible if you're...
The other thing, and I'm not sure if you said this or not, but once you get to neutral... Is it neutral? We have to get to neutral, right? Once you get to neutral with one faction, as long as you don't fall under... as long as you don't go to outsider, right? I think I'm saying it right. As long as you don't fall...
You could be enemy and it still finishes.
I've been almost completely gone enemy with one side and still opens the thing.
I didn't have the ring. Once I fell below a certain level, I didn't have the ring anymore.
Well, you don't need the ring.
Final instance.
Yeah, because you go to the other one, the one you're friendly with, and you'll get the ring there.
Yeah, you can get the ring on both sides, which helps.
So all you had to do is just hit neutral, and then you don't have to worry about
you can hit neutral, and then you can trash your rep with that faction. Or you can do the feeding quests.
You just treat them like crud after that.
Right. Or you can do, 8 feeding quests on each side, and you're neutral with both at the same time, and you can go to either of them for the instance. So
Right.
I like that there are multiple ways to complete that successfully.
Yeah. So it's not as hard as what I made it out to be when I first went in there. This is a story of my life. I always think it's going to be tougher than it actually turns out to be.
Now you can move on, Pineleaf. Sorry for...
Now we can move on. Then let's head into the next area, which I'm calling the arena storyline.
Okay.
And
did we skip Darmazar?
Oh, yeah, you skipped Darmazar. Oh my gosh, you can't skip Darmazar.
Oh, I tried to excise that from my brain.
I was going to say,
you were successful,
and I don't blame you.
I mean, there isn't really a storyline to Darmazar. That's just a camp of death.
But there are a bunch of quests in there. There are a lot of quests, and you're supposed to go through and get supplies and things.
Too. It's kind of like this maze of camps, and some of them are actually level.
And you know what? The story tells you that they're mostly deserted. And if that's what a mostly deserted orc camp looks like, I would hate to see one that's fully manned, because that place is crawling with orcs and trolls and
there's a bunch of quests that you pick up. I think most of them are landscape quests, aren't they? You pick up.
Yeah, that's why I said there's no real stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the dailies, when you start doing your dailies, you go back in.
oh, I never go in there for the dailies.
Yeah.
I skip those quests.
Yeah, I know, me too. Like, nope, not doing Dharmazar.
So I did notice going in this side past Fushun Ball was much easier solo.
Yes, it is.
Than going in
There's
the
a
way
way
that
you
you
can
first
get into
get there.
Dharmazar, right, past Fushun Ball. It's easy, you can kind of sneak in. And actually, if you go up that side road, you can kind of come in the backside of Dharmazar, which is cool. There's a side road that goes to the right, and there's like an orc thing, something there. But if you go back around the orc thing that's facing the road, you come in behind, and you can drop down into Dharmazar, and it's a little easier. But every one of those camps, and a lot of them have pretty wide aggro ranges, so you can actually pull a whole entire camp of Uruks and Orcs and Trolls.
Yep.
Yay!
Hooray! And then the trolls can kick you into another whole camp, and then you've got
That's right.
2 whole camps mad at you. And at that point, you've probably met the res circle.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Or you might have had a really good group, and you might just wipe them all out, and that's fun too.
Yeah, if you've got a large group or an expert group, you might be
Or
able
if you're
to-
careful solo.
We did go ash farming there last night, and it was pretty cathartic for 12 of us to run through there and just just level the place. It was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know that I would call our Thursday group an expert group, and it's certainly not a large group by any means, but we didn't really have any.
We?
Yeah, we didn't really
we
have
did
any
okay.
trouble with that area.
We cleared it pretty
We had your
easily.
Xing Xing.
We had a
Terry
champion,
just
a
went in and killed it
hunter,
and everything.
lore master, and burglar, right?
Yeah.
So not even a full fellowship, but with more than one person, it's much easier.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially when you have voice chat going and you've got the communication thing, and you can coordinate who's going to mez whatever, and
Right, and you can say, oh no, look, there's somebody sneaking up behind you that you didn't notice. Because that happens there regularly, because they path back and forth, the captain guys.
Yeah. So it's not, it's not, but soloing it is a challenge.
Yeah.
It can be done, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's Dharmazar.
Yeah, that's Dharmazar, and that's why I tried to skip it. Now, concerning the reflecting pool, I decided to check out the reflecting pool on Bulwer,
Oh, yeah.
and there was I went to the reflecting pool, and there was a salamander basking on it.
Of course.
Perfect sunning spot.
They're what is it? They're exothermic, so they go for the hot spots.
Yeah. All right, and yes, the Fushun resolution is in the reflecting
good.
pool.
Oh,
Excellent.
that's good to know.
So therefore, if you have somebody that you want to help with it, we could do so. And I can tell my kinmate that because she could just decide to, all right, we'll save it for when,
Yeah.
when it comes out.
So, sure.
Now then, let's head to the arena.
Oh, the arena.
Yeah, the arena.
Yeah, that's a fun little place. Zorzov, or something like that.
Zorzov.
It actually was kind of fun.
Zorzov.
Yeah,
You can
Or
get a
dress
cute
up
little
like
disguise. Well, I was on a
Yeah.
Hobbit, but
it's a cute quest line. That's, I think, probably the best way of describing that one. It's certainly
As long as you don't mind
not the most
letting bits on
serious
the
one
floor.
you've got.
well, yeah. I mean, you've got to do some menial tasks, but since when do you not have to do that?
Right.
Especially for orcs.
Well,
when you're helping
the other
them.
thing is you either do the menial because you have to. The thing to complete the region, you have to do the final. There's 2 ways you could do it. You could go around and do the menial task, or there's a timer, and if you just wait for the timer to run out, then you can go do the final instance.
It takes me 20 minutes to do the menial tasks anyway, so
you might as well just wait for the timer to run out.
yeah, you can just go someplace safe and
Yeah, you
do
just
your
stand
nails.
next to that goblin that gives you the quest, Just wait for the timer to run out. Yeah. Because, for me, I didn't know, when I first went in there, I didn't know I could do that, and it's like the amount of, I went through for my buffs, every time I died that I had to buffs and stuff. It's like I should have just waited for the timer to run out.
So you should note that your disguise is not foolproof, so you've got to keep moving, and your disguise has a timer of 4 minutes. So
4?
I think it was
Okay.
4. So you have to make sure you refresh your disguise regularly, or you will definitely be spotted by that whole crowd of orcs. And they're not very friendly once they realize you're not really an orc.
Right.
Potentially leads to conga lines of orcs.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, running away being chased by a bunch of waving and screaming orcs, you can still pretend like you're a celebrity if you want to. You just turn the camera a little bit and you see this whole line chasing you, their arms raised, waving
They're
stuff.
going, wait, don't go!
Come back here! They're not really that friendly if you stop, though, so keep moving.
Yeah, so keep moving, and hopefully you'll eventually drop them off, and they'll
They
run
keep going
back.
quite a ways.
Yeah, there is that. Then once you finish all that, then you get to participate in their arena fight. And of course, the disguise drops off just as the fight's about to begin.
Of course.
Of course.
And therefore, they say, well, we're here to see blood anyway, so okay, let them fight. He'll
Well,
be
here's
killed.
one of the things. This is funny because I went through it on Well, and I left my own blood on the floor many, many times. I mean, I had conga lines of orcs at least 3 times. I did discover on Tin Fang that if you lose your orc outfit, if you stick really close to the wall and just keep moving, you can get out, which was a miracle. I mean, I was amazed. But it wasn't until I went in there with Sans Winda, and Sans, thank God, is very observant. And she goes, "Oh, well, the costumes only last for, 5 minutes? It only lasts for 5 minutes." And it's like, oh, that's why I was getting discovered, is because I didn't know there was a timer on the outfit. And I'm like 3 levels up, right? And then my costume goes away. And all the orcs were like, "Look, an elf! Kill her!" So it was like, so when Sans and I did it, there's a guy right at the doorway that's got more armor, and you just watch the timer and you go down and get more, runs out. Duh. Did I ruin it for you? Finally, were you going to say that? I'm sorry.
No, it's pretty much, as I said, once you go and do the instance, though, then you do 3 instances worth of
right.
fighting
Yeah.
and showing that
careful.
you're the... What?
You gotta be careful to not step off the bridge.
Yes.
Also, if you're a lore master and your pet is tanking, and if your pet falls off the bridge into the fire, the mob will go after your pet.
That is good to know.
Something to be aware of for those of you that prefer to kite.
Right. Just kite
You
back and
can-
forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Kite yourself into failing the quest, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, my hunter actually doesn't need to move at all. Neither of them. But,
No.
the, lore master I had with me on one of them with my runekeeper accidentally walked right off the bridge trying to decide where to stand. And that did not go so well. So, be careful.
The other thing that happens is when you finish the 3rd one, or is it the 4th? Do you do it 3 times and then the big guy comes out? I can't remember.
No,
When you
it's...
fight
The
Yeah,
big guy
sorry.
comes out at the end of the 3rd.
at the end of the 3rd. Oh, that's right. He's like the 4th mob, right? And then it's like what apparently, I guess, happens is the orcs around the arena get so ticked off at you that they jump down and want to fight you. But the thing is, some of them actually run right into the pit.
Quite a few of them, actually. You don't end up having to fight very many of them. They're not
You don't have
bright.
to fight very many of them because they're just like, I don't know, maybe they're just like blind from rage or something, but they just like run at you and then run right into the pit. So
And
it's
you
like
can look
just
at
stand
them
there and
standing
watch them.
under the bridge, looking at you
That's
angrily, trying to get to you, which is hardly fair because it's insta-death for us, and they're just standing there, like, still focused on you. I think they've developed some
Pretty
fire
funny.
resistance or something.
Living
But
in
it is
Mordor,
fun.
you
And
probably have
actually,
to.
as part of your day, when you finish everything and you do your dailies, that actually is one of your dailies you can choose to do, is to go back in and fight those guys again. if you haven't had enough.
Yeah, I have done that once.
Yeah.
If I were
Oh,
inclined to
the
do
other thing
dailies, I
about
probably
that,
would do
by
that.
the way, that instance is I know for sure you could do it as a duo. I don't know if you could with more than 2 people.
No,
But
it's
you
a
can do
duo.
it as a duo fellowship. Yeah, you don't have to do it as a solo, which is strange to me. I mean, I would think of all the things to make solo, that would be one to make solo because you're fighting. You're like the Master Mangler, right? You're like
Right,
the guy.
My
Yeah, and it
runekeeper
gets
was
you the
very
title.
grateful, though.
The Twin Manglers.
Yeah, right.
It gets you the title of the Master Mangler, which is pretty cool.
Which is
That
pretty
is cool.
I mean,
You know who
it's
needs that?
not as
Sarissa
awesome as
needs that.
Skirmisher
Sarissa.
of Middle Earth.
Sarissa
No,
should have that. You don't think so?
no.
The,
But, you know, eventually a well-dressed killing machine will probably get
True.
Oh,
true,
yeah.
Yes, that's a good one. Yes. Well-dressed killing machine, Master
Mangler, yeah.
Perfect.
and the reaction of the goblin who starts you on this whole quest line is so funny. Like, just reading his quest every time.
That's worth doing the quest line right there is
Just
for that
read it.
reaction.
It's true. It's true. So it's a little bit of comic relief in the middle of Palace Irway.
Yeah,
which is much needed there.
Yeah, yes, much needed.
You
Now,
should
were
note.
you going to mention finally the Watching Stone across the way from where you get the armor? Were you going to mention that one?
I wasn't
done that?
really, because that's just a minor side quest. But if you want to talk about it,
The weird part is you don't even necessarily know it's there. I mean, I just walked up to it and said, "Oh, look, there's a Watching Stone." And then when I ran my mouse over it, it's like, "Oh, there's no ring." I don't think there's not a ring over it, right?
I don't
it's just
think
weird.
so.
I mean, there might be
Yeah,
a ring
so-
inside it somewhere that we can't
But it's
see.
pretty
but-
challenging.
Especially when somebody tells you, go ahead and read the quest text.
Well, this is what I'm trying to tell you. You might not know this, but things will keep spawning there, and they will keep chasing you. And this spot right across from where you get the armor is where the Gashai, sit there to ambush people riding past. And so if you try to run and kite these spawning spirits, they will chase
Then you
you
run
into the
Gashai.
Gashai. Easily. Or into some
And these
nearby
spawning
drakes.
spirits keep spawning and spawning and spawning.
And spawning and spawning and spawning until you've killed enough of them. And then they might still keep spawning and go after random people, I don't know. But, it might have caused some trouble.
Thinking it was slightly ridiculous.
Yeah, more than slightly ridiculous. Because I wanted to hear the quest text, so I said, keep reading. We can totally handle these 3 spirits. But no, then the 3 spirits were 6. Then they were 9. Then they were 12. Then we were
I
dead.
think we had 20 at one point. It was seriously?
Yeah, and
The good
well, they
news is
kept
I don't
respawning
think
in
that's
sets
a
of
required
3.
quest, so you
So-
could just kind of ignore that Watching Stone and just pretend it's not there.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's a very dangerous crossroads. You should definitely be careful
It
there.
is, yeah.
Then after the arena, we've got Nairband.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And was it Ordeer first, right? The spot before it.
Well, I'm considering Ordeer to be part of
It is.
Nairband.
Yeah, it is part of it.
But
But you have to run it and take the stuff back to the quest giver before you go into Nairband. So
Yeah, but
But it
I
is
consider
part of the same
Nairband's
thing.
quest giver to be the same thing.
Yeah.
That Nernhoth woman who had thought it would be a good idea to try to escape.
Yeah, silly girl.
Well, it was a good idea to
Huh?
escape. Maybe not a good idea to stay in the area.
That was not stay in the area. That's right.
Well, actually, her problem in the end wasn't when she was still in the area. It was after she left the area along the way to Nern when she
Okay.
got into trouble.
Was that when she got recaptured?
Was that when she got?
Oh.
Yeah, that's the impression I got.
Maybe she ran to the road to Nern and saw the gate there.
Yep. Yeah, that gate. No, actually, I thought she said that she was going
She's
to try
going
to
to take
cross
it
the
back
mountains.
way, though.
Yeah.
Didn't work though.
Apparently not.
We free the prisoners. We free the other people. And she's
Right.
taking them the back way to
That's right. So
Nern.
back to Nern.
And then she
yeah.
gets recaptured.
Right.
Oh, well. But while she's being recaptured, we're down inside there because we freed the prisoners from outside in the outer area.
And we got captured in the process.
Yeah. And that place is the outside of Nairband is one of the nastiest places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot stand that. I was doing my series for my YouTube series on there, and I was on the outside plays, and okay, I concluded, nope, no way, I'm finishing this. So I wound up doing my recording session slightly differently, and unfortunately, it sort of turned out to be moot anyway because I had some video issues and lost the footage anyway.
Oh.
Oh no.
Dear.
Yeah, it was. Note to self: while using OBS, do not try to change my video settings because, or at least if I do, I have to get out of LOTRO, get back in, because otherwise OBS doesn't recognize that you're in the same session.
Mm.
But anyway, considering that particular ordeal, maybe it was better off. But here we go. Outside Narrabant, yeah, it just toward because you've got these wandering signatures going all over the place. You've got
Well, you can pick up 2 of them at a time wandering past each other.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they path like one in one place and one in another. They crisscross each other.
Yeah, do all sorts of things. Or I try to go into a location that's as far from them as possible, and then eventually I get pinned into them. And then he spots me, and he brings 2 or 3 friends with him also.
Right, because he's a signature, so he can do that.
Yeah, he's a signature, and oh boy, that was really annoying. I just decided, all right, now I'm through with this place. But
you got to go all over it finding things too to do the
free people. Yeah, you got to
quests to open up the instance inside later. So
right. In the end, for that character, all I did is I went to Narrabant to get the skull and was done with it. And decided I wasn't going to bother with all the rest of the stuff in there. Because that's what you have all these outside quests. Once you do that, and you talk to the Nernhoth, and she starts to go on her way, then you go back in, you then go down and kill all sorts of things. And I think Narrabant itself is easier than the outside.
yes,
yeah, I agree with you.
but getting in is difficult.
Yeah.
Getting in is a pain.
You can't even war steed it in safely. It's through too many different wandering camps.
Right, unless you have to be a burglar, in which case you could just turn on your disguise.
Yeah,
and run through
disguise
that way.
yourself and just walk in. That would be kind of fun, actually.
Because I think that's what I did when I was doing it with you guys. But then you go through all this, and you find out that she's been recaptured, and then you go into this instance in order to try to free her.
And it's solo
And
only.
then you get captured.
Solo only quest.
Which is so weird.
Gosh.
Like I said, the pit fighting should be solo, and it allows you to be duo. This only lets you be solo, and it's really hard.
But
It's really hard.
yes, and I could not get my burglar. Now I did only try it once, so perhaps maybe if I tried it 5 or 6 more times and had the patience to do that, I might have been able to essentially do it. But I just wasn't in the mood to do it again. And the idea there is, all right, you face 2, fine. You face 2, fine. You face 2 plus one of those signature guys. And I had the signature that had all right, if I remembered where my corruption removal skill was, I might have been able to remove the corruptions a little bit faster, and maybe I could have survived it that way. But you have to be able to get rid of corruptions pretty quick. No, of course, unless you have the Healy one. If you have the Healy one, then you have to make sure you have an interrupt available to interrupt him whenever he tries to heal. So, yeah, it's going to be an annoyance no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Then after that, then you get to go to the part, which is probably the reason why they made you solo, is because you take into this torture chamber and they don't want you.
But they could have had 2 tables next to each other. I mean, really? It's a whole torture chamber. We took out a bunch of those things.
But here's the thing: when you're laying on that torture chamber on that torture table, make sure to do emotes.
Oh yeah, you can get up and mock the guys. And
you can mock the guy. You can slap him. It's really fun.
Do backflips.
Oh gosh,
handstands.
And then as soon as
you can get up to laugh at him
on your back again, all shackled up. It's hilarious.
It's pretty awesome.
So that's, okay, I have to admit, I did not think of trying that.
Oh, it's fun. You can make fun of his whole monologue, react with an emotion to everything he says, because Erdani never says anything. She just looks at him.
Right.
So
So after all of that, then since Uradani says he has something more important to do, put you back in your cell before he starts to torture you. You go back into your cell and then you escape from there. And I don't know how tough that section is compared to the half where I couldn't get past. I think there's a group that you could avoid.
It was that section afterwards that took out my roomkeeper the second time.
Ah, okay.
Well, I didn't think it was I didn't think it was too bad, actually. I mean,
it wasn't terrible, except that I managed to pull 3 things at once accidentally.
Oh, she helps fight. I mean, I'm not sure how much damage.
Oh, I didn't get to her. Never mind. I got past getting out of my cell and promptly died.
You have to get past some. That's right. Yeah.
So
therefore, for Pineleaf with his rally horn that he so graciously used to summon me back so that I could get back in time. That put me back in right in front of her. I probably would not have finished that on my Runekeeper.
Yeah, on that one, that particular occasion was when I was on my Warden, so I was actually I was able to finish it on my Warden, but my Burglar wasn't able to do it.
My Hunters could do it.
Yeah, Hunters could do it. They probably killed him fast.
It was much rougher with my Ariad Hunter, but it was possible.
I didn't have any trouble.
Champion.
Definitely a champion there.
Yeah, champion's no problem.
So therefore,
and I'm sure Guardian's no problem either. Just take a while.
Yeah. Well, on my case, it's also take a while because I tend to be in tank stance on my Wardens because I tend to get ripped apart when I'm in DPS mode.
I think the big thing about this whole area is just there's just lots of mobs, and a lot of them are strong mobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after Nerbad, unless you have something else you want to say about that lovely place, we have Nargothrond.
Yay, Nargothrond!
Wait, can we just say that Nerband instance will drop you somewhere?
Oh, yes. It also
I don't know where,
a lava field.
But it's in the middle of a lava field that it drops you.
It's kind of like the campfire, you know. It's like
it was actually trying to get out of that I noticed there was a campfire on the map. I kept looking, trying to figure out where I was and where I was going. I finally ported myself out, but now you can move on, Pineleaf.
Alright, now we can move on into Nargothrond, which is another fun little place. Actually, this one isn't quite as bad as Nerband.
You can warsteed your way all the way in, and then you won't be dismounted right inside the door. You'll still be charging around on your warsteed, so be careful.
I'm sorry, there is one other thing I just want to mention, that the entrance that you need to discover to do the 6-man is on the outside of Nerband. It's actually off the main road. It's not, you don't have to go all the way in, like to Oradir. But I just wanted to mention that it's there. I mean, people will find it. It's like a sewer outlet. It's before you, if you're coming from the ranger place in Mag Ashtu, that's kind of the main talent early place. If you're coming from that direction.
That sounds pleasant.
I know.
Outlet.
It's before you actually get to the turn, the right turn that takes you up into Nerband. There's like a white tower, and then in that area where the white tower is the sewer outlet, basically.
Yeah, be careful with that turn too, because it's easy to miss, and I kind of ran past it the first time.
So anyway, I just want to mention that for anybody that wanted, it's like you have to discover it for the 6-man. And once you discover it, that's it. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
So after that, we have Nargothrond, which is the home of the where you could actually use your war steed there if you were so insane.
I thought you were going to say
it's not recommended.
Unless you need a death port, in which case it might be just the ticket you need.
Yeah. So therefore you have a couple of rounds of quests in there where you have to go in there, discover various places, kill various things, find various things, destroy various things, summon various things, and then eventually do some eavesdropping in a instance.
And it's pretty packed with mobs.
Yeah.
And ledges you can fall off of.
Packed.
And bridges you can fall off of. And stairs that look like they're not there. And I mean, the stairs, when you actually see the stairs, look like they're there, but like you can be walking down a hall and be like, "Oh, this is a dead end," and turn around and never realize that there were stairs at the end of it. So,
And guess what? The quest giver is a watching stone. Yay!
Yay!
I totally haven't learned our
Talkative
lesson
watching
yet.
Stone.
Right. What can go wrong?
Right?
Hey, those watching stones in Mordor are just chatty.
They are.
Chatty stones. Not like the ones in Angmar. The ones in Angmar didn't say anything.
No,
they just kill you.
so they were more
Yeah,
deadly.
they just kill you. Yeah, that's true.
I think it's our experience in Angmar that made these ones so talkative, honestly.
Maybe
Probably.
so. Maybe so. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, that was really a strange series of quests where you do quite a bit in there. And after you do that, that finishes up the region and you finally get to... Try to think, is there a region finale for this?
That's it.
Oh, that's it.
Turn
Yeah,
in
just-
a finale thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that
you
is
turn it
finale,
on.
Gosh, too.
In order
Yeah,
to complete the region, there's a discovery. You have to discover the road to Nerd.
Yeah, you
gotta
gotta...
do the pit fight. You gotta do the fish
Right,
ball,
and you
gotta
get a
do
quest to
the-
do all of those from somebody in Malgash too. And you can go
Right,
back
one
and
of
tell him, "Hey, I did all that."
Then he goes, "Great, now go to the bloody swamp." Yay!
Yeah,
Pretty much.
but yeah, well, that's obviously
It's
the bloody
basically what
swampy
they call
next
it.
time.
It's
Yeah.
the bloody swamp.
The bloody
bloody
gore. Right?
gore.
Don't they call it the
Bloody gore, yeah, the bloody gore.
It's like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I want to go.
That's right. It's another fun vacation spot in Mordor.
And
Well, I
Mordor
love
didn't have
that,
enough of those.
Like, as we're wrapping up this thing, Gandalf's like, "I hear not all is right there." Like, you think, Gandalf?
You think not the bloody gore? You think things are not right? Gee, Gandalf.
Understatement of the year.
Right?
It's like, Gandalf, I think you have your mind on going west. You're just not thinking this through.
Yeah, that was a real fun. All right, let's go on how we will score the area. So we will begin with Terry Adwin. How would you rate?
I'm actually going to go with an A for this one because the story was good. Difficulty is about what you expect from Mordor. I felt a little nerf batty until I got upgraded gear, and then I feel okay again about where Terry Adwin is on stuff. But the story is still really great. The thing I love about the Mordor story is it actually fits Mordor. I mean, there's not really anything shiny and happy. Yeah, you have your couple of moments of humor, but there's nothing good happening in Mordor. If you want good stuff, go somewhere else. So I'm actually really glad that we're only doing it like once a week because I don't know how everybody else manages to do it for like days at a time. I don't think I could handle it.
Yeah.
I probably will not end up doing dailies in Mordor because I just don't think I could wrap my brain around spending that much time in Mordor. But when we're there, I mean, I'm really enjoying being in Mordor, which is weird. But, you know, I've so many other characters. I've got other stuff to do. Yeah, so I'm going to go with an A.
All right.
Also, the Uridani backstory was really, really good.
That was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got the Easterlings, the Easterlings, the Haradrim, so you've got Eastern people, you've got Southern people, you have the different factions of Mordor. You learn a lot. I'm learning a lot of stuff.
Well, I love how
Mordor.
well the Stone Maiden title fits Uridani. Like stone, she comes back molten. It's awesome. She's even the same color as the molten lava all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, she turns into a red
All
head.
right.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
Very well then. Let's Sanswinda. How would you rate it?
In terms of story and evilness of landscape and lavaness and stuff, it totally gets an A. In terms of survivability, particularly for light armor classes, I give it a C or C-. So, Overall, oh, that's hard. My runekeeper is really upset with the area. She wants to give it an F, but my hunters were okay.
Hunters, yeah.
So, and actually, Sanswinda being geared, trying to get ready for a raid, had no problems at all. My other hunter had some problems, but I think B+. The solo ability just was rotten from my runekeeper who had to do solo things.
Yeah, probably if I was running it solo, I would have scored it lower, because I probably would still be okay survivability wise, but it would take me so much longer to kill stuff without having the backup that I typically have.
And then I would die, and then I'd have to run back in, and then I would get killed by those stupid Gash High guarding the crossroads, and then I'd have to run back in again. And then I'd get killed by something in a camp, and it was just nasty.
Yeah, one of the things that actually came up on one of the streams I was watching this week had to do with Mordor survivability, and basically the summary was, it's not a place for the casual player. It's just
no, it's not.
I mean, I am a casual player, but I'm a casual player who plays with a group.
Who's champion. I mean, plus
and
you're
champion,
which is a little bit.
Well,
more.
Noticing...
I think it's more the group.
You think it is?
I think it's more the group. The fact that I have other people around me that's getting me through Mordor. If I was trying to solo Mordor, I think I would be a lot more frustrated with it.
Yeah.
Even with the upgraded gear, I think I would still be more frustrated with it if I were trying to do it solo.
Because I even upgraded my runekeeper's gear, and it helped a tiny bit. Like, in a group I can tell that it helped, but solo, it just... Oh, man. Even when she's surviving, it takes forever.
But, Mordor's not supposed to be your summer holiday place, so I'm actually okay with that being the case. It's just definitely something that people should keep in mind if they're considering going to Mordor. I mean, you can't just... You can stroll into Mordor, you can't stroll through Mordor.
Not for the faint of armor.
Right.
Very well.
I mean, maybe some inspiration buff in Airband if you're wearing light armor or something would have made that better, but...
All right. Maven, how would you rate it?
Well, it's interesting because actually, as listening to you guys talk, I would probably split it between what Terry just said. I don't know what you call it, the serious player and the casual player. Like a lore, if what you're interested in is the lore, but you're not that into the play, then it would probably be like a C or maybe less because of all the stuff Sans just said. But I actually liked it. I mean, I would give it an A-, and the only reason I give it the minus is because of what I said about the instances. That the pit. I mean, having one be a solo only and have it be that hard, and while you've got the pit where you can duo. I mean, I'm not necessarily complaining about the duo. It just doesn't make sense.
like that you can duo the pit. That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
You should be able to do the others.
The Nair Band one to be, and you can also 3-man or at least 3-man, if not more, the Nargroth instance. But to make the Nair Band one only a solo and have it be that difficult is, like Pineleaf was saying, it's like, forget it. I like it because of the fact that I have to get really conscious of my stats. And I think that's what Terry, what they meant when they said it's not for like casual play, because you have to really pay attention. It's not just the light of Earenda, which I think we've talked about before. You have to have that up because as you get further and further into these areas, the amount of shadow increases. But it's also your other stats as well, and so you really have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to your armor and your essences and your LIs and everything. I enjoy that. I mean, I'm enjoying that, and it's probably just because, I'm at the point in my gameplay where that is interesting to me, but I'm also on a hunter, a lore master, and a minstrel. And I will say the minstrel is definitely a squish bun. I mean, he's like, I really have to think twice about soloing with him in a lot of places because he's so squishy. But I think part of that is just, I need to pay more attention to his stats, and he's Ariad. So like you said, your Ariad hunter isn't as well set up as your, Sans Winda is for that, but I like that. However, I would say for a casual player, somebody that just wants to do the lore, that could be a real pain to them, if they're not interested in that stuff. But they're not going to be able to do the region if they don't. So having said that, the other thing that I love the stories. This is all fan fiction. I mean, from the point of time when, the ring dropped in the mountain, the rest of it's been fan fiction. And I really think they've done an awesome job with it. This whole idea of there being these factions that are sort of like, having power struggles and stuff. And I mean, we saw it start, in Dora Marth, actually, with the Mouth of Sauron and that kind of stuff. And it's just a really interesting story. And so I'm looking forward, because I think the 12-man actually takes us further into the storyline, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to the updates next year, because I'm assuming they're going to probably, I think they're going to expand it some more. So I think they've done a really nice job with the storyline. It's engaging, it's interesting, it's creative, and it's also, kind of lore, it's true to the lore, you know what I mean? There's nothing outrageous. There's nothing that strikes a weird note with me. So from that standpoint, from me as a player, I give it an A-, and the minus is only because of those instances. If I was really more of a lore hound and didn't want to get into all those numbers and stuff, it would be probably a C, and that would be generous.
Yeah.
I actually have been really glad that I hit my first level cap when Western Gondor first came out. So endgame for me when I hit level cap was Dol Amroth and figuring out essences and stuff like that. And I'm really glad that I had that opportunity to do that and that I took the time to actually do it. I did it on one character. That was all I really needed to do. It's made a huge difference for me to be conscious of what needs to go where when I'm gearing up for Mordor. Right.
Anyway, so I'm enjoying it, and I'm having a really good time running through it. But it is not for the faint of armor, for sure.
Yeah. Very well. As for my score on the matter, my basic rule on scoring this particular region is when you mark a quest as solo, it should be soloable by all classes who are reasonably confident and have a reasonable amount of gear. Mm-hmm. If someone is over-leveled, reasonably gear, has reasonably good, just landscape gear, I'm not talking about anything outrageous, and it's marked as solo, it should be soloable, maybe a little bit challenging there, but soloable. I would say that Narraband should have been completely marked as small fellowship. I would say that if Narraband were marked as small fellowship, I would not going to be downgrading this as far as I am. Because I cannot give this, because of this thing, solo quest, but not soloable. They mark it solo, it is not soloable in any way whatsoever I would say, by most people, in my opinion. So therefore, I have to give the region a D for that, because of the false markings of all of those quests.
My Runekeeper agrees wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Yes. But that's my opinion on the matter. And you can see we have 4 different opinions on the matter, but it comes down to that, yes, even those who marked it well said that if they had to take another class in there.
Yeah. I mean, I think when my Runekeeper goes in there, it's going to be a real challenge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is annoying, that the light armor classes, seem to, those are the most challenged ones. I mean, the Lore Master's not so bad because you've got your pet, and you can set your pet, you can go into blue line and really buff your pet up and, you can learn to manage it. But the other ones, you don't have that option. And the other thing, by the way, I did do with my hunter, and for the very first, and I know I mentioned this as a highlight in a previous show when I was going through Mordor, it was really the first time that I used the landscape soldier tokens. I took my skirmish soldier with me. You can't do them in the instances, but on the landscape you can. So that's another thing just to keep in mind. On landscape, at least, you could take your skirmish soldier with you,
That's a good point.
which helped. But unfortunately, he couldn't go with me in the instance.
Pine Leaf, that's what they could have done to that instance. Instead of solo only, it could have been a skirmish.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
Then even if you were solo, you could at least have your skirmish soldier with you.
Yes, well, let's see. That particular instance does not exactly sound like skirmish material to me. And
part of
when
it
I
could
say
have
something,
been.
yeah, maybe. Now, they could have had it operate differently, like the whole thing with the torture chamber and all that stuff could have been somehow done differently rather than as part of that instance. But because of that torture chamber scene, I don't see it as being really something I would consider to be a skirmish. Now, I would say, yeah, trying to get her out and doing through there, changing that into a skirmish. Maybe that would be something to try. And skirmishes aren't exactly as easy as they used to be ever since they put things into Mordor.
Yes, but at least you can have a skirmish soldier to help you.
Oh yeah. There is another thing that also contributed to my score on the matter that I had completely forgotten about, and that is, of course, those 115 camps. The 115 camps in Talath Orrery are... there are one or two camps, and I will not go anywhere near them, even with my buffed up warden. It says, this is a solo quest. Solo quest where you throw a javelin at one person, you've got 4 archers far away from each other, plus a defiler, plus a warrior, all on your back.
Ouch.
And that's typical. It's 4 archers.
Yikes.
And yeah, there's not much I can do for it on there because I completely depend on having people close together. And yeah. So yeah, my warden just got ripped into ribbons by that.
Pew-pews must die.
Pew-pews must die. Unfortunately, right now, I go after one pew-pew, the other 3 pew-pews rip me to pieces.
I guess the pew-pews have learned that we're out to get them and they're teaming up on us.
Yeah, that's what happened on there. But anyway, that was another thing that's really got me frustrated because there are 1 or 2 parts on there that not even my best equipped warden could get through solo. And that is it for our quest pack review. So let's head into...
Did you want to mention anything about the 2 instances? I don't know if you...
The 2 instances?
Oh, no, that's right. No, we just have the 1 instance that's in Talath Orrery, which is the 6-man.
I think we're going to review
we're going to do those
probably
separately.
The cluster separately when the raid comes out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
right.
Good. Yeah, makes sense.
So let's then go back to some really old instances, and that is the Angmar experience, part 1, where Squirrely goes into CD, Karn Doom, and was it Ruguth, or how you pronounce that?
Barad Gularan, Karn Doom, the Rift, and Urgarth.
Yeah, but he only does Karn Doom and Urguth in this particular article. He saves the other 2 for next time. So the idea here is that you need to go Karn Doom and Urgur, which are the 6-player instances.
No mention of the day spa, so.
Yeah. But it does talk about the Iron Gates and how you have all these various divisions, or you had to get these keys in order to get through there, various places in there. Which is always a real fun little thing to do, especially back in days before key rings. He does talk about the key rings and all.
I have to question your definition of fun.
It sounds about as questionable as the friends I was making recently with the orcs.
You keep using that word in ways that it should not be used.
Well, we're trying to test the limits of the English language sometimes. And perhaps I pushed a little bit too far on that. But anyway, talking about Cardoom and Uragarth, which are two of the Angmar instances, level 50, which was the original cap, and they were the big instances where many people will go into. And they tied it heavily into the epic storyline because one of the ideas was that you're supposed to unlock Cardoom by getting this key in the epic storyline in book 7, I think it is. And also, these two instances were noted in that prior to the addition of the items in skirmish camps, originally, if you needed to complete your class quest, you had to go in there and you had to pick up the major items from inside these two instances. Or actually, was it four major items I guess each class needed, because you got to get these because you had to get some of them getting a drop from that boss in the day spa.
Yep.
And all sorts of other little things you had to get there. Yes, you get this horn from, from one of those big mean trolls. All sorts of real nasty things you had to get in that place. So therefore, if you wanted to finish that quest, yeah. Go into those. I think, though, they could be sold on the auction house, and so therefore, if you weren't into that and you had lots of money, you could go and buy them at the auction house. So today, don't buy them at the auction house. Go to the skirmish
camp.
Yeah, that is, of course, assuming that you do anything that earns you marks.
It's just marks, right? Is it? It's not medallions too, is it?
I don't think there are any medallions involved in this. If it is, it's so negligible, it's not anything to worry about.
Well, medallions you can only really get from skirmishes or instances. Marks you can get from all sorts of things, because you can complete deeds and get marks.
Well, yeah, there is that.
In most areas.
But anyway, for a time, those were the two big instances to do, because this was back in the days when level 50 was the level cap. And the thing about Cardoom and Urgaroth is that they really haven't changed all that much. Okay, it's a little bit easier to keep track of rings than it used to keys, since it's no longer a single person drop or anything like that. It's
right, now everybody gets the key.
Right, now everybody gets the key and all. Now we have all.
And you can put it on your key ring, and then you don't have to go get it again, so you can just make a run directly for the boss, which is nice.
Right. So it is a little bit easier on that side, but they did not split it up and divide it like they do with many of the other dungeons that have been done in the past. These are considered to be classics, and at the time, they do not feel that they need to be disassembled like some of the other instances.
It would be hard to. Uragarth isn't too bad because Uragarth isn't all that long.
Yeah.
Cardoom would actually be kind of hard to split up because it doesn't make. I mean, Fornos makes sense. Heligrad makes sense because of the way
they have
wings are. Because of the way the wings are set. Cardoom really doesn't make any sense all split up. Speaking of fun, it is fun actually to run this on level because I've done it. See above regarding Day Spa.
Yeah, just make sure that you allocate enough time for it.
Yeah, full run of Cardoom is a good 2-3 hours, I think, for a full run.
That sounds about right.
It's long.
Back in those days, I don't think 2 or 3 hours wasn't considered to be as long as it is today.
No.
Because that was more typical of instances and like, and after Fornos probably took that long back in its day also, back before it was split up. So then,
I would imagine.
Yeah. So we'll see what his write-up is then on the Rift and that other dungeon that we always forget about in
Farad Gularan.
Yeah, I know. I try to remember if I've ever done that one.
I have.
Yeah. If I've
My
ever...
level 50 group did all of the Angmar stuff on level.
Yes, yeah. If you're in a group that's dedicated to doing completionist stuff and stopping and using stones to make sure you don't go past all that stuff,
So
then...
close to getting the horse.
Ooh.
How do
So
you
that's
get a
the goal of everybody?
Yeah, it was the goal. We ended up not being able to finish out the rift, but so close to getting the horse.
And then you've done those instances at those instances that nobody ever... I can't remember what they're called. They're over at the main camp in northern Angmar.
Yeah, at Gasforth Near. We did 2 of them. We haven't done the third one because those are server unlocked. So a certain number of people have to do the first one in order for the second one to unlock. And then a certain number of people have to run the second one for the third one to
Nobody
unlock.
really does those, do they?
Most people generally don't. We did.
Yeah, and that's probably why it's
Those
hard to
are
get
actually
unlocked
really
these days.
easy, and they're short. It was like a pre-skirmish sort of thing.
Yeah, what they really should do is to remove those locks on those instances so that if someone did want to do all 3 of them, they could do so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, leave it so that you had to unlock it personally, so that you had to do the first 2 before you could do the third. But
Right. But not make it like a group thing, right?
not make it like 100 people on the server had to do it.
You still want it to be a group activity because it's
Right.
worth doing in a group. But you don't want to make it so that you have to wait until so many groups have done it before you can get in there.
Then let's head into our new player question. And Ariendes, what's your question this week?
This week, the question is, what is the emote panel for and how do you find it?
Collections panel, Shift C.
And it's one of the 4 tabs on the collections panel.
Yes.
What are the other tabs on there?
Pets, mounts, and...
Stable Masters.
Stable Masters.
Thank you.
And with the emotes, do you have to purchase those, or are those it just tells you what emotes are available regardless?
Tells you all of the emotes that are available. Some of them are available to be purchased. Some of them can be earned in other ways.
Yeah. You can filter it so that you show only the ones you have or only the ones you need or anything like that, depending upon your situation. And you could drag emotes from there onto your short bar so that there's certain ones that you really wanted to do for some reason, then
Like taking
you have
screenshots
shortcuts.
without your UI up.
And you can
that's what's really good on that is, you bring them into the shortcuts that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example, and you can do them that way. I have done that on occasion myself.
And you can preview right from your emotes panel. You've got a little screen where your character is, and you can preview what the emotes look like, even the ones you don't have.
Yeah, so that allows you then to be able to then purchase if you were considering purchase one, you can see, okay, what does it look like? And so you can know really, really if you want to try it. If you want to find 100 people to
like Terry
to cheer
got one
you,
the other
Yeah. I got cheered enough times to get the fire breath emote.
Nice.
Yeah, I know, and you're always surprised when you get that, because I remember when I finally got that one after a long time, I thought, oh, what?
Yeah.
That was the emotes panel is responsible for me dedicating myself to earning Skirmisher of Middle-earth because I wanted to bring it on emote as soon as I saw it preview.
As soon as you saw it preview,
Yeah.
yes.
Because I had never seen it before. I didn't even realize that it was a thing. And then the collections panel came out and I saw it and I was like, I need that emote. So yeah, that resulted in earning Skirmisher of Middle-earth.
How many times have you earned that?
Just once.
Oh,
How
okay.
many times has
Pine Leaf has earned it, like, way
We're not even going to talk about it.
Yes, one on every class plus one on every capped warden on a server.
He says modestly.
He says, yeah, it's a ridiculous,
It's no big
number of
deal.
times.
Yeah,
And this helps
ridiculous.
explain why spinning marks and medallions is no big deal. They're all trivial. Just in case you're wondering, listeners, when you go to the skirmish camp and you're like, how is this a trivial amount of marks and medallions? That is why.
Well, you do have a point with that.
Out of curiosity, Pineleaf, on your main warden, or the warden that you use to skirmish the most, how many marks do you think you actually have?
Currently, maybe about 500,000 or something like that.
Good gracious.
Like I said, when he says something about trivial marks and medallions, and you're a new player and you go to look and you're like, what is he talking about? That's like more than 3 times the amount I have earned in my whole account.
Let's look at what we did last week in LOTRO. And Terry Adwin, what were you up to?
Well, in addition to earning the Fire Breath emote, which was really cool, I finished up Telethurui with the Thursday group and accidentally caused the group to fail the final instance because I didn't get the memo to hide.
Everybody else pop up on the screen in the middle of the screen either.
Okay, it didn't pop up on the screen in the middle of the screen, but keep in mind that of the 5 of us on the podcast, Arendis and I are the only 2 that are like behind everybody else in Mordor because Arendis isn't in Mordor yet. And I'm only running it with the group, and everybody else is running it like multiple times, which I have no idea how they can manage it, but because I can't go there. So I'm only doing it once a week. So everybody else had done the instance at least once, and I'm a champion. So we've run through everything else in Nargroth, and it's been kill all of the things, which I'm totally okay with. And we get to this last spot, and we kill all of the things except for these 2 Fire Grims, which are all the way across the room. So I go across the room to go kill the Fire Grims because
Can I just
that's
say,
my job.
She was doing a marvelous job killing those
Yes.
Fire Grims right at the top of the stairs where he was going to come out and spot
Nobody
us.
said anything about hiding until they realized that I'm across the room fighting. And oh crap! So we had to go through it again.
Oh,
This
gosh.
time they made sure to point out where we were going to hide before I got us into trouble a second time. So yeah, to be fair, the instructions do not pop up on the screen. It tells you that such and such is coming, and I'm thinking, well, what's the big deal about such and such coming? Isn't that why we're here? No, you don't actually want him to spot you.
Oh, that's right, because it says it in your quest list. It doesn't say it on
It says over in the quest tracker that
quest
you're
tracker.
supposed to.
Yeah.
But you're not
Find a
paying
spot
attention
to
to that
hide.
when you're killing all
But
the
if you're
things.
not,
Yeah.
if you're killing all of the things, you're not really looking at the quest tracker,
Yeah.
and it doesn't.
Yeah.
The words don't pop up on the screen that you're not supposed to get spotted. Yeah, that could be made a little bit more clear. I also did some more of Angmar with my level 105 Ariad Lore Master because I Ariad her and promptly took her to the Mordor summer home, which is Angmar. She made it through. She made it through to Carndoom and wandered around the Circle of Despair for funsies because I remember. With the level 50 group, we actually completed the Circle of Despair deed on level. And I don't remember how we did it. I wasn't in charge of leading the group around. Somebody else had coordinates and was leading the group around, and I was just kind of following everybody in stealth. So when they got into trouble, I was over here. I was the burglar of the group, so, you know. But yeah, so my level 105 Lore Master, the only thing remotely threatening in that area is maybe a roving threat or 2. I actually got lost a couple of times and ended up down in the chasm that leads to the rift where you've got those elite signature, really nasty if you're on level things. At level 105, that can take him out with a couple of swipes. So yeah, that was really kind of cathartic to run around at the Circle of Despair, finding all of the spots. So it's the second time I've completed the deed, and yeah. And then my other LOTRO thing wasn't actually my LOTRO thing, but the other morning I was sitting across the kitchen table from my mother, having my breakfast, listening to her play LOTRO on her elf minstrel, who at the time was level 9. She had spent 2 days, mind you, in Ered Luin trying to find the grapes in the vineyard because she was so lost that I, looking at her screen, did not know where she was.
Oh, gosh. And you know Ered Luin well.
She goes, I know Ered Luin really well. I've completed the meta deed on about 24 characters. That and the Shire. I know them really well. So she goes, where are the grapes? So I come around to look at her screen, and I'm looking at her screen, and I'm looking at them. And I have no clue where she is. I said, I don't know. I do not know where you are. She pulled up the map. I still couldn't find her. She managed to get herself unlost at some point. But so I'm sitting across the table listening to what's supposed to be minstrel combat. Again, I've played the game for a while. I know what minstrel combat is supposed to sound like. This was not what minstrel combat was supposed to sound like. So I go back around the table, and I point to her screen, and I said, okay, click the goblin. She clicks the goblin, doesn't get into combat, thank God. I said, okay, now click this skill, which was Echoes of Battle, and then this skill, which I think was Dissonant Cry, because it wasn't Dissonant Piercing Cry yet, and then the other one was Call of War, or whatever the two shouts.
Right. Shout.
The two, you yell at it and it dies. I said, okay, click this one and then click this one. And if it's not dead yet, click that one. So she does that, and her eyes get absolutely huge because it just drops. Like, it doesn't even get a chance to run toward her. It just drops. She's like, oh my God, that was so cool. So, yes, I taught my mother how to minstrel this week.
She's going to get completely hooked on that. Wait until she gets her satellite strike.
Oh my gosh.
We figured it out. She'll get the satellite strike at level 17. And then, then it's going to just be all over.
Of course, it took her, how long did it take her to get from 9 to 10? Like 2 weeks?
2 days.
2 days.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a question then.
Uh-huh.
Does this mean that the buttons that have the ballads are completely ignored?
No, those ones she was using.
But those two shouts, if they're up...
Well, okay, two of them she was using because she also wasn't in dissonant stance. She didn't have the glowy hands.
Right.
So I said, so first you're going to click this thing, which is going to make your hands glow again. I don't know how she got out of glowy hands. She clicks random things. She doesn't pay attention. I said, so then you click the goblin, then you click this button, this button, this button. Yeah, she's all over that. So now probably the buttons with the ballads will get ignored. But yeah, she did figure out that she could strum her little guitar thing. She calls it a guitar thing.
Guitar thing.
I love that you can do that even if you don't actually have the guitar thing. I mean, really, you don't have to have any instrument equipped to be able to do that.
She clicks her little guitar thing, and it does it. So, Arendis, how was your week?
How can I possibly follow that? You gotta give me a minute. Oh gosh. Well, I found out that the High Elf High Elf starter intro is 1, really long, and 2, you can't split it up.
Right.
So
that's right.
I went through part of it the first time, and I was trying to, get everything done, and I had to get up halfway through. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm at a spot. Maybe it'll save it. No, it doesn't save it.
Yeah,
you have to start at the beginning. So, but it was the first time I had ever gone through it, and I think it was really well done, especially from like a content kind of way. For me, I thought that they did a really good job of showing the difference between like a high elf and a normal elf. It'll make sense if you do the intro, but I thought it was well done. And I also got 2 new people into LOTRO, so we got 2 new fresh meat victims out there. So they created a dwarf and a hobbit, and I was on my main, so I'm level 55. ish, and so we were able to port the Hobbit from the Shire to Thorns. Is it Thorns Hall? I can never remember if it's Thorns Hall or Thorns Gate. The area that the dwarves start out in, pretty much.
The area is called Thorns Gate, but the hall itself within Thorns Gate is called Thorns Hall.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, we were all over both of those. And so we were kind of running around there, and the level 6 dwarf challenged the level 55 champ to a PvP fight. And I was like, well, this is going to be fun. I think I hit like 2 skills, maybe 2 skills. And so, we're standing there and we're in a fellowship, and this level 105 comes up to me and challenges me to spar. I guess they thought I was trolling some newbies or something, and he hit me in like 2 hits, and I was done. So I think it was a stun and then 1 hit, and I was just out. But we had a lot of fun. We were running around and, trying to figure out how everything works, and had some fun with the emote panel. So that's what brought on this week's new player question. But hopefully they had a lot of fun. Sans, what did you do this week?
Well, on the field trip, I talked with a crazy dwarf and found a slain Gwyber, and Rivendelled the log bridge. Oops. That's a long swim if you fall off that bridge.
It is.
And of all the log bridges in Middle Earth that I have come across, this is the hardest to get across.
Well, it's not flat at all.
No, it's not flat at all. And there's
round all the way around. So
and there's really tall spikes all around it, including right down the middle where you want to be walking.
When I was
they forgot to strip off the branches.
How to get over there, I didn't think it was a bridge when the first time
I didn't either.
Like, there's spikes. Why would you think you'd be able to get across that?
Yeah, so I definitely fell off it, and fortunately got summoned back to the top by a fellowship member who made it all the way up. Thanks, Finn.
And I think that with those dwarfs up there, one of them will take an axe and take those old branches off that tree.
Right. I mean, they've been up there long enough.
Well, that's their go away, Matt. That's what that is.
That's
maybe it's a leave us
They're
alone.
unwelcome, Matt. Yeah.
Either that or it's on somebody's to-do list and it just keeps getting pushed to the bottom.
That could be.
Left it to
They're
Nar.
waiting for Nar to be
waiting for Nar to do it. Yeah.
to get around to it.
It's been on Nar's to-do list for forever. And then I was actually looking at the festival stuff that had come back up, and I need so many Starlit Crystals and Scrolls, not only for my Ariad character's new weapons, but also my main hunter Sanswinda still needs like 10 crystals and 17 scrolls now. She needed a lot more before this happened. But so I was trying to run the festival stuff, get another Starlit Crystal, which I did, and then I met a high rank hunter outside Thorns Hall, highly ranked in the Moors. And the hunter's like, "Hey." I was like, "Hi. I don't know you, but hi." And she's like, "I was just inspecting you." I was like, "Oh." And she's like, "I noticed you need more, you need quite a few more scrolls of empowerment. You want to run some instances and stuff together?" So we ran Court of Saragosse together, 105 tier 2. And she was teaching me about hunter skills that I use, but I don't really know how to use necessarily. Like, I didn't know Barrage tiers 3 times, or how to tier it, because it does not tier like other skills that tier. So, I got some hunter info and some fun meeting a new person and learning about old servers, Vilya, and the ways things changed that I wasn't around for. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, and I'm down to needing only 17 more of those stupid scrolls of empowerment now. So that's pretty good. Considering that I started out needing, I don't even know how many. Close to 100. It was bad. So I'm kind of really sad that they're nerfing that, because I really don't see any reason to make it harder to get those things. And then my nephew has been really wanting to play Monster Players, really, really, like, he's got his whole sheet of monster players filled in now. With monster characters. And a lot of them on it will be like, look, 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 look! And it'll be like a spider sitting on a rock, and you're like, oh, squish it. He's like, no, that's me!
Squish it!
I'm like, okay, fine, don't get squished. Go do something spidery. But, he's like, I'm sitting on a rock. So, so he wanted to play monster player, and so my sister and I took our baby wargs out with his baby warg, and we had a few meltdowns, like the fact that he couldn't keep up with us because we had spent mithril on enhanced stealth. But then we remembered that he had that free mithril from a while back, so he also got his enhanced stealth, and then he was happier about that. And then we were running around in the Eisendeep mine, and realized that he couldn't map back to Grams because he'd already used his map, and we still only had the crude one that has a really long cooldown. In part because we need to get to Lugbers, and it's always held by the Freeps. But, or almost always. And, so we're like, okay, well, Deathport. So we took on this Wintersub Drake, which should have been an easy Deathport. And, then my sister and I, our wargs die pretty fast, but we didn't actually need the Deathport, but we're trying to demonstrate, like, how to die from a Drake. and we do a really great demonstration, and he's sitting there still hitting his skills on this Drake from behind because a group of orcs ran up to attack it from the front. NPC orcs in the mine, or goblins or whatever they have in their mining. He killed the Wintersub Drake and did not port back to
Oh no!
the Red Circle with us. So, we had to help him find something else to kill him, and there was a little meltdown over that too. But then we ran into a raid, and we helped take out some minstrels and a hunter who had trapped the whole area. And I've got to say, like, as a hunter main, watching all of the creeps run into the traps was kind of satisfying until I realized I was about to run into them too. But it was fun, and fought with a burglar several times who kept cropping up, and yeah, overall it was a lot of fun. Though baby wargs do about 0 damage. Like, we were, I took them over to the dwarves and trolls, because it was nighttime and I was showing them that, and if you thought that was the most fun ever to get the whole group of, dwarves chasing you and run them through the trolls.
Well, yeah.
And it is. It's a lot of fun. But we teamed up on one of the dwarves, and we're like whacking away at it. You can kind of see its health go down slowly. Like, all our skills are on cooldown. Troll walks over, swipes at it, and half its morale's gone, and you're like, oh, yeah, we're just weaklings. But, yeah, that was fun. Maven, how was your week?
Well, first of all, hopefully my voice comes through okay, because Sans went a little roboto on me, and I think it's just something on my end. So if I go roboto, just everybody read the show notes. Just let me know if I do. So I ran, speaking of scrolls, Tin Fang needs scroll. And so I ran Glordrell through the Minister's dailies, and what I now call the revenge dailies. Because when Glordrell ran those dailies on level, it was a challenge. And now I can do like speed runs through all 3 super fast. And then I don't do any of the mob kills. I just do all the collection stuff. And then I go to like one spot where I know a bunch of mobs are and just boom, 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 boom. It's awesome. It's like, all those times you guys tried to kill me? Well, guess what? Anyway, so it's still the best place to get scrolls. I mean, I can score anywhere from, well, it depends on how many tokens I start with, but I average probably about 7, each time I do the run, which is nice. And I can't remember how many more But and then I had the opposite experience a sense when I ran the 3-man solo the Mordor 3-man a bunch of times, including tier 2, and still only got scrolls. And the tier 2, it's like, why am I bothering to waste my buffs stuff for scrolls when I could go to Minas Tirith to do this? So I didn't have the same experience running the 3-man. It's really annoying. And I've had that same experience running it actually as a 3-man, even at 115. I've scored a couple things, but I've never had the bounty that a number of my player friends have had from that stupid instance. I don't think the RNG likes me. And then I continue to run my not so baby anymore hunter through Foracal, but the stuff isn't really orange and red anymore. So I think I'm thinking I'm gonna stick around. I think she's got ally standing now, so I thought I would stick around to get her kindred just because. Although I suppose what I could just do is run through a pine camp and get enough stuff, get enough click, get her. But I just thought it'd be nice for her to have kindred there. And I think I haven't decided whether I'm gonna take her to Region or. She's got her LI, but I may do Region. I don't know. I haven't decided. But anyway, so that's where she's at. Pine Leaf.
On my main one, I ran most of the Dwarven Allegiance storyline. I still have one more quest there to go before I'm all finished with that. And on Laurelin, my warden there headed into a rather nasty swamp. You can guess what swamp that is. The Bloody Gore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my lore master finished up the time in Eregion, and for the month of December for my lore master series, I will be running the the Eriador skirmishes. So I'll be going through each of those 9 skirmishes on there. And that's sort of get all ready and prepped up for heading into Moria in January.
I keep forgetting to talk about the Allegiance. I did chapter 5 of the Gondor Allegiance on Terry this week too.
Ah, good.
I don't want to really spoil it, and I haven't really wanted to be spoiled because it's like the one part of the story that that's completely new to me.
Right.
And everybody's been pretty good about not spoiling it for me, which I appreciate.
I'd love to be able to cover those allegiances at this point, but it would be like a major spoiler.
Yeah, it's
thing.
major spoilery. Very, very awesome.
Yeah.
We
could do it in an episode by itself and just say big spoiler announcements for them and all that fun stuff.
And Arendis would have to block her ears.
Yeah.
Poor Arendis.
Well, I don't mind. I'm one of those people. I actually don't mind spoilers, so
You don't mind?
Okay. Well, that's good. Then let's head into news outside of LOTRO, news beyond LOTRO, where Moria is coming to the One Ring and Adventures in Middle-earth RPG. So that'll be the next area that they're going to be doing. So we are doing Mordor right now, and it looks like Adventures Middle-earth is now getting into Moria.
Which is cool, actually.
Yeah. Does that mean
if you
it's
ever
going
wanted to roleplay in Moria, that's your roleplay in Moria right there.
Yeah. Roleplay in Moria, and watch out where you walk, probably, because of...
Well, I mean, at least the floor's not lava, probably.
Well, yeah.
Probably.
You do have a point there. We currently have 23 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even a guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. This week we did not receive any emails, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You could also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance, @PlayersAlly, LOTRO Players @LOTROPlayers, Ariandis @Ariandis, Maven @Tolkien Maven, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Senswinda @Senswinda, and Terry Edwin @Terry Edwin. LOTRO Players
Finally,
News.
did you set yourself to 1.5 speed?
It's a new update for his software system.
Okay. Sorry. You did that
really well. It was like, whoa. Okay, anyway.
The LOTRO Players News broadcasts every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And DDO Players News will be returning this Monday, December 4th at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. You can join us for our live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Plenty of Noodles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.